everyone, and welcome back to Fan Behavior. I'm Zoe. I'm here with Hannah.
Hi, everyone.
Final race recap. You got to cover your hair to show off your
Kevin shirt.
Your Kevin shirt. I got my Lewis shirt. We did not prepare this, but we knew we had to honor the legends. One leaving the sport, most likely for good.
Yeah.
One changing teams after a legendary stint. So it only felt right. I was gonna ask, or I was gonna see if you were gonna wear your Valtteri hat, or if you were gonna.
I thought like about ways. Doing both.
Yeah.
And then
just
I was
like throwing everything on.
Yeah. I really did contemplate that, and I was like, I think that might just be like overkill.
Yeah.
So I didn't.
I was like, I don't have anything Carlos related.
Which is fine.
Which is like, that's no shock to anyone that listens to the show. And I wish I had something for Franco.
I know. I almost wore my Williams beanie.
And you could have worn, well, we don't know for sure about Red Bull, but like,
I know.
There's just a lot of chaos.
There's so much happening.
So much chaos. As always, we're recording this about an hour after the race has finished. I don't anticipate there being any last minute changes. Knock on wood.
Yeah, definitely knock on something.
But I will keep tabs on the phone just in case there is any. Mercedes did just tweet, "Take care of him" at Scuderia Ferrari.
Okay,
they will. I have no doubt that they will take care of him.
Sad.
Lot to get into, obviously, with the race, and then even like pre-race, there's just so much chaos. So I feel like a lot of people really were disappointed that we didn't get to talk about the Max and George last week. Which,
the girlies
for those
who
fighting. Don't know, or we finished recording and then we saw all of the posts about it. So it had happened like while we were recording, because as you know, we like to record right after the race happens. So we didn't get a chance to debrief. There's just the gist of it. I mean, and you guys all know it's been a week since it's all happened, but in Qatar during qualifying, George, I guess, really lobbied for Max to get a penalty for driving slow, not even on a hot lap. And he did get a penalty. It was a one place grid penalty. And Max was not happy about it.
Sure.
And was not happy about the way that George handled it. There's a war of words back and forth. Now, this might not sound this, because a lot of people were like, I want to hear what you guys think. I want to hear what you think. And if I'm being perfectly honest, and this might not be like an interesting thing, it's not that I don't care. I just don't have a dog in the fight.
Yeah.
For me personally, I really don't have a super, listen, if George then came out this week and said all these things about what Max said to him and, saying that he's going to put his head in the wall or something like that. Obviously, if Max is saying things like that, that's not okay. Like, totally. We all should understand that. And we don't know if that actually was said or whatever. That's obviously not okay. But having a little bit of drama in Formula One is perfectly fine.
Yeah, Landa said it best.
Right.
Like, I hope they keep fighting. It's fun to watch.
Yeah. And it's not, I know if you're a diehard Max fan, if you're a diehard George fan, like my dad, for example, is Team George.
Yeah.
He's come out as Team George. And my dad likes Max. But he has his reasons for being Team George, which I won't. He can, if he ever chooses to come on the podcast, he can share those theories for himself.
He'll have to sit in the corner and just audio only.
Yeah, exactly. But for me personally, I think I wish we had a little bit more of this in Formula One. Mm-hmm. I wish we had a little bit more people not afraid to get a little messy.
Yeah. Like NASCAR vibes.
I'm not even saying violence.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm just, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And I think it's funny because George just has the personality, for better or for worse. He's a little bit of a brown noser, and he's the kid who's going to raise his hand and remind the teacher that they were supposed to assign homework or that there was supposed to be a quiz today. Like, that's just his inherently his personality. Yeah. And we need to be abundantly clear. I'm not justifying if he did say what he said, because, I'm not an apologist to a fault. Like, if he's being threatening, that's not okay.
Well, Max was the one that was
no, I know, Max.
Yeah.
I'm not that's not okay.
Right.
However, in the environment that he's grown up in, when he does not get his way, or when he saw someone not get their way, they lash out in a threatening tone. Now, not justifiable.
Yeah.
Not okay. But I think they are both really, their inner child is coming out.
Sure.
And I mean, I think, look, if roles were reversed, we know that Red Bull, whether it was from Max's mouth directly or not, would be pushing in the same way that George was. It is what it is. I thought it was a kind of, it was mildly entertaining, but also like the threatening is not cool if that is true. And yeah, I mean, I kind of was just like, okay.
Yeah, and
it was pretty low level drama in my opinion. Like it was entertaining, but it was more entertaining for me when Toto and Christian got involved.
Yeah. Well, and also they were joking about it and we'll get to the team or the dinner, the driver dinner at the end, but there clearly wasn't this. I feel like no one's taking it that seriously, especially the other drivers involved. And I think Max even said later in the week, basically, we're going to work through this. These things happen. It's going to be fine. Max and George are not going to be BFFs. They weren't BFFs prior to this. They're not going to be BFFs after this. Someone did say that they needed Daniel back to mediate the conversation because he is friends with Max and George, and maybe he can kind of, dissolve the tension there. But it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's a workplace conflict. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, and it makes it entertaining. I'm looking forward to it, hopefully being on Drive to Survive this upcoming season. I think that will be fun. And as long as it's an appropriate level of drama, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it's a shame they don't film those sessions, like those meetings.
Yeah, well, they used to film them, the driver meetings.
They should start again.
They used to stream them, but yeah, they stopped doing that. So anyway, I know that's probably not the most like exciting response to the Max and George thing, and maybe people wish we would have taken a side. Or
I've also had a whole like week to live with it and think about it. Yeah, I mean, if I heard about it in real time, I'd probably be like,
whatever. Yeah.
Animated about it.
We'll wait and see what happens. There's probably more to the story, and this might carry over to next season. Who knows? Obviously, I mean, this has been a long-standing. If you've been around since the Princess George days, which was last season, they're not always the most.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Tight. Okay, then we got confirmation about Esteban.
Yeah,
not racing for Alpine this weekend, and then Esteban released a statement and basically said, this is not how I wanted it to go. This was not my decision, which I think there are a lot of people that are equating this situation to the Daniel situation, which it is similar in that someone's gotten pushed out that didn't necessarily want to be pushed out. Now, it's different in the sense that Esteban will be on the grid next season. Right. So it's not as devastating or sad as if this was his final race and he didn't get to finish in his final race. That would have been terrible.
Yeah.
But he did get treated pretty terribly by Alpine, and like so many people said, he has Alpine's one race win from their time. He got them their highest place finish this season with the P2. He's done a lot for them, and it's just, and I know their reasoning was, well, it's because we wanted to release him so that he could do his postseason testing. You could have made it work. Other people are making it work. Carlos is doing the postseason test with Williams, and he raced his final race for Ferrari.
Yeah, that's a low hanging fruit excuse.
Yes, and anyway, I think he was at the dinner. He
was at the dinner.
Yeah, so he was in Abu Dhabi, so that's good, obviously, because he's going to be doing the test with Haas this week. But yeah, and he had a helmet, like he had a.
I know, and it's like I get that they had for them it was like the money that was on the line, sure, and. Jack did fine.
He did fine.
But he didn't do better than Esteban would have done.
No.
And like maybe Esteban would have come out with a very similar result, but like there's also the likelihood he could have done better. Yeah. I mean,
well, it definitely wasn't for performance reason.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it's like, seriously, what, and of course we have no idea what was going on inside. But it does seem disappointing that it was just like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
We're so done that we can't even handle like one more weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. It just.
But, we don't know what we don't know.
I mean, as we found this season, this is just how the sport, it's a brutal sport.
Yeah.
Sometimes it goes in your favor and sometimes it definitely does not go in your favor. And it's just how it goes.
Yeah. But I need to say that to me, these while they have similarities, this is not the same level as Daniel by any stretch.
No.
I just,
Yes.
As a biased podcast, I would like to put my opinion out there.
But there's a lot of people, who are obviously very emotional about Carlos changing teams and Lewis changing teams. And it's an end of an era for so many of these drivers, and it's a big change and stuff. But to me, it's a little bit hard for me to be super emotional about those changes when like I went through like the biggest change of all a few months ago. I'm kind of like,
yeah. Yeah, and I guess because neither one of them are my like favorite, but I don't even know if I would. I don't know, but like if Max was changing teams, like I think I'd be excited.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or not because he would be leaving Red Bull, but like I don't think I would be.
You'd be excited about the new beginning.
Yeah.
I was also going to say too is I think I can understand too. We've never seen Lewis Hamilton win a championship with F. So for us, it's like we've seen the tough times with him at Merck. So in my mind, I'm also a Charles Leclerc fan.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, okay, he gets to go to this new team, Charles Leclerc, Ferrari. I'm like looking forward to this new chapter. I didn't have all the positive memories of Merck prior. All I kind of know is just struggle. We saw Lewis win his first race this season. So we have to be, again, I mean, we are, but like recognize that we have a very different relationship to Lewis at Merck than many other people do. Same with any other driver on the grid. So I think that also plays into it. If you have been watching F1 since whenever and you've seen Lewis win all these championships to have all these great successes and stuff, I can understand it feeling very monumental.
Yeah.
For us, we're kind of like, thank God he's getting out of this team and going to a team where maybe he could win a championship.
Yeah. Totally. Now, when he does decide to retire, do you think he'll announce it at the beginning of the season, or do you think it'll come?
So.
I hope so too.
I hope so. Yeah, I very much hope it's kind of like this is my last year, or if not the like very beginning, at least kind of like a Sebastian Vettel when he announced like before summer break, or maybe that was during summer break.
Yeah.
Kind of like this is it, and let's just enjoy it.
Yeah, totally.
If anyone tries to pull one over on Lewis Hamilton, I will come to your house and
honestly, they won't. They can't afford to. And Bono.
I know that was.
Was that his wife?
I don't know. That's a good question. Probably.
Cute.
Probably.
That made me emotional.
Okay, other pieces of news before the weekend started. So we have confirmation that Zandvoort is going to be taken off the calendar in 2026.
I'm kind of shocked by that.
I mean, I am kind of, but also it's just all about freaking money, man. And these legacy or whatever they call them tracks, like they're just going to be picked off one by one in favor of the Vegases and the tracks that we know bring in a lot of money. And it's a bummer because like I think even Lewis said it this week because he was asked about it, and he's like that track has some of the best fans across the calendar. Obviously many of them are there because of Max, or as supportive because of Max, but I think if Max wasn't on the grid they'd still be as devoted and intense. And I just don't like these tracks being taken off. I mean, I feel like it's inevitable that Spa will be gone at some point soon. It's just I don't know.
I think it's
shame.
Very disappointing.
Yeah.
And also it's kind of like, I just don't understand. It's like, why are you biting the hand that fed you? Like these are historical. They've been around for a long time. Like if, the way that they invested in Vegas, it's like, if there's an issue with the money it's bringing in, like, why don't you help invest in the track or the facilities or the accommodations around the track? Like, make it better. Whatever.
And also, like, you're making a bunch of money. So it's the you got to have the balance. One for me, one for you. It's like you have the tracks, the Middle Eastern tracks, the Vegases, Miami's, the ones that are bringing you a lot of money that people are paying top dollar for.
Yeah, but indie movies are important too.
Yeah, exactly. Indie movies are important too.
We can't survive on Marvel alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy.
Thank you.
You do, like, we're running a studio here.
Yeah.
And you need to have the Oscar bait. You need to have the movies that are going to win you the big prize. And you're also going to need the ones that bring in the most at the box office.
Yeah.
But you can't survive without both.
Right. And one is never going to get nominated for an Oscar.
Right. Well, we'll see.
I don't think so.
But then we also got the news that the Chinese GP has extended through 2030. We know that obviously brings in quite a bit of money. And I actually really like that track. We experienced it for the first time this season because of COVID. For so long it didn't happen. They've obviously lost their Chinese driver, at least for now, but I don't think it really matters. I think they're still going to show up. So anyway, Then we got some tribute helmets.
Yeah.
So we have George with the Lewis tribute helmet, which was sweet. They made this whole thing. Did you see the video of them talking about George trying to get Lewis's signature as a kid, and then he finally he had him sign his book or something this week, which was funny. George is just the king of manifestation.
It really is.
He really manifested him and Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
Ariana Grande really manifested her life as in Wicked, and George Russell has manifested his life. They're very similar, actually, George and Ariana.
And honestly, like, George has been memeing, like, becoming a meme for his whole life, because the photo of him
is
hilarious. I mean, he just looks so dejected, but also starstruck.
Yeah, he's doing his darndest to get that autograph. It's just
so he got funny. Better than an autograph.
Yeah, he did. That's so funny. We have Joe helmet, Valtteri helmet for each other, which was sweet. I'm gonna miss. We've talked about this before, but they're just a great underrated duo.
They really are.
That's gonna be a tough one.
I love all of Michaela's content that she did with them.
Yes,
it's been
so good.
Very
they're
funny.
just so down to do whatever. And God bless them. And then we had the Charles Leclerc, Muchas Gracias Carlos helmet.
I think Vamos would have been fun.
I know. Or tell me we have it. Tell me we have it, Carlos.
There's no S's in that, so he couldn't have used the 5s.
Yeah, shoot.
I think he made the right choice.
Yeah. So anyway, it was nice to see those people, getting the chance, which, as we said, many have not gotten the chance to really like enjoy their last race weekend and celebrate it. And even if maybe it won't be their last, but at least they got the chance to act like it was their last.
Yeah. And Laura Magnussen made an appearance.
Laura Magnussen.
God, I love her. She's so cute.
She's so cute. I kind of just like have this feeling that she's going to be a driver.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just have this like, I don't know. She just seems I think part of it is even when she was really, really young, like I feel like she's very in touch, in tune.
Yeah, she's very dialed
aware. Like she's always, that one video where she like tells her dad that person wants an autograph.
Yeah.
Remember that? Like she's like
very
2.5.
observant.
Like that is, I can't
it's the most
imagine
like eldest daughter energy
a
ever.
child doing that. And just she's just very aware. And I don't know. I feel like she has a bright future.
Yeah. One of the
her.
videos this weekend that came out, she was like, helping him get ready. And she goes, remember to drive well. I mean, she said it in her language, which obviously I don't speak, but
yeah.
I was like,
it's like, again,
cute.
Yeah. That's very that's very, I don't know if it's an advanced thing to say as a young kid. But
well, it does, because even like when she's in the garage and they like cut to her watching and it's like the middle of something, she's very like
she's watching.
She's very dialed in.
And there was even a clip of her I saw again when she was like, maybe it was last year, so even younger, putting on the headphones, and she like knew. I don't know. She like reached for them, grabbed them, put them on. I feel like most kids are like not wanting to wear them. I don't know. She's just She's just got it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the group dinner.
Yeah.
So this has obviously they've done this in the past, like 10 years ago ish. They did it, and then it kind of seemed like they paused it for a while, and then they brought it back a handful of years ago. I think when it was Seb's final race weekend, and it's always fun to see them together. It's always fun to decide where we would choose to be at the table. Now they made it extremely easy for us. I saw it. I said,
nice.
And part of it is, Daniel wasn't there, right? So would he have affected the decision making? Like, I don't know, but they really made it so easy. If you didn't look at the picture, Hannah would be between Max and Lando, and I didn't even ask you that. I just knew that's where you'd be. And I'd obviously be between Lewis and Charles, and Pierre's on that side of the table with Lewis and Charles. Like, you've got Oscar on your side, Franco,
perfect,
Liam, Yuki. So like it's a good balance, both sides of the table. They did have Max and George. We heard the story about them leaving 2 seats open next to Max, and then George came in late and picked up that chair and moved it next to Lewis. Which, you know what? Funny that Max was kind of like playing along with it, because he obviously could have been like, no, move the chairs,
Yeah.
And also George has every right to be like.
Yeah, I could also see it being like a funny thing. Well, I'm not going to sit here and like moving it to
and also wanting to sit next to his teammate.
Yeah.
But anyway, Valtteri picked up the bill.
Yes, he did, even though he's unemployed. And Haas wasn't there?
Well, in this picture, Nico is in the picture.
Okay.
He's next to Checo and Esteban, but no I don't see K-Mag. And then I think Fernando and Lance were at like an Aston Martin dinner. So they weren't there.
Yeah, and K-Mag might have been hanging with his fam.
Maybe. But
I
like,
don't know.
you can't spare a couple hours to be with the boys.
I don't know.
Apparently not. I wish there was like a fly on the wall. I just want to know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I want to be there.
I want to be the server that's just standing in the corner for water refills.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Love it.
I'll sign whatever NDA I need.
Yeah. Hope that continues on forevermore because it's just.
Well, good thing Lewis isn't retiring yet.
Thank goodness. Yeah. It's interesting that Lewis planned it. I have to obviously assume that Valtteri offered. I mean, of course, they're like, okay, Valtteri, like, take the check. Like, Valtteri clearly offered to pay for it. But
I also just think it's funny that one person has to. Like, guys, just split the bill.
Yeah, but maybe it's just sort of like
I guess
Valtteri's
that's what rich people
leaving the grid. So it's kind of like his one last sort of way to, say thank you to the grid. They got to, I mean, what they need to do is just make the person who wins the world championship pay.
Well, yeah.
Because they got Max, obviously Max has a freaking jet. Like, you shouldn't make Yuki or Liam or Franco. Like, Franco, there's no way Franco can afford. Like,
I don't think it was ever on the table.
No, Franco's like looking at the menu and he's like, shit, okay, I need to like.
I'll get the chicken.
I only get the salad.
Yeah, side salad. That's funny.
Because I just, I'm not going to be here next year, so I got to be making sure I'm smart with my money. Then we got big news.
Huge.
That Max Verstappen is going to be a father.
Yeah.
That really, it shocked me initially just because I was like, whoa, but it doesn't really shock me, but it did kind of shock me. I did see a lot of people making the comparison to the Hunger Games. In the second Hunger Games, like, in order to kind of win over the Capitol, PETA and Katniss come up with this idea to like make people think that they're having a baby. And so in like when he's being interviewed by what's his name? Stanley Tucci's character. Forgive me for forgetting his name. PETA's like, if only it wasn't for the baby. And it was just kind of funny. And people were saying like amidst all this like George Max drama, he like drops the baby news to kind of like divert attention away.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually the reason why, but it is kind of
because was Kelly at the race this weekend?
Yeah, she was.
I assume that's why.
Yeah, because Penelope was there. I saw Penelope.
Oh yeah. It's just so that like they could put it out before she was seen around pregnant.
Yeah.
Showing it
I'm assuming so. But obviously very happy for them. Congrats to them. Max is now. I mean, and I did like that when he was asked about like, congrats, you're gonna be a dad. He was like, well, I'm already kind of like a bonus dad.
Yeah.
Which I am not someone who's like has a stepfather, but I can only imagine that if you are like in Penelope's shoes.
Yeah. She loves him so much.
Yeah. And you don't want it to feel like he doesn't think of himself as a dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. So, not mean she's young, but
kids are smart.
It's still nice to know that you're wanted and like you feel like you're not just second fiddle. And there were some people who felt like, because Max has talked in the past about not wanting to race if he had kids.
Yeah, I've heard this.
And he has come out and said like, I'm going to keep racing. I'm not retiring or whatever. But there was some panic because people thought, oh shit, is this his last race weekend?
Well, I did hear someone, and I maybe sent it to you, I can't remember, but that he might go, like there's a chance he could go on hiatus and do kind of what Daniel did, like from a marketing perspective, but not drive full time.
Yeah, he said he's gonna
not do that.
Yeah, he's going to race. And,
fair enough.
He did just
but,
say though,
they say a lot of things that they go back on. So
Yeah, I think Max is. I wouldn't be surprised if Max retires early, but I think for the next handful of years he's going to keep racing in Formula One. He did say, because he has 8 penalty points after this race. And he said in his post-race interview thing, he said, maybe I'll make sure I get to 12 points when the baby is born. Then I can go on paternity leave because I'll have a nice race ban. So maybe
I wonder when
that's his plan. I would assume this spring, given like the timeline and stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's tough.
Like right when the season starts, probably, or a little bit after when the season starts. So that was obviously major news. And then just other kind of sweet news is that we had brothers in FP1 together.
Yeah.
Arthur Leclerc got to join his brother Charles Leclerc, which was very sweet.
Yeah, it was
happy
cute.
for them. And Charles has talked a lot about how like they had to, when they were growing up, they had to kind of stop Arthur's racing career for a bit because they needed to just focus on Charles Leclerc because he was going to, he had the best chance of getting into F1. And so basically Arthur gave up kind of a lot in order for Charles to have this success. And Arthur's in F2, but I don't know that he's on his way to Formula One, but it is nice that they at least got to share that experience together.
Yeah.
We then also found out that Charles Leclerc was going to have a 10-place grid penalty, which was just like awesome.
Classic.
Especially a weekend where like you really can't afford to have any sort of penalty because you're trying to fight for a freaking constructors championship, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously like some people were acting as if this is what Ferrari wanted. Like they didn't, this is their car. Something was wrong. They had to make the change. This is what happened.
Right.
But it's just very
And
classic.
if it didn't make the change, who knows what would have happened? His car would have
probably like
stopped
on the track.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't,
during the formation lap or something.
Exactly. We actually, and thinking back to our time in F1 as fans, we've come along for me as a Charles Leclerc fan. It's been a lot less painful this season than in past seasons. In fact,
it's been brutal.
One could even say it's been a very good season for Charles Leclerc. Winning in Monaco, winning in Monza, he won in Austin. He had a really great season. There wasn't as many. I can't think of a DNF I'm sure he did have a DNF. I just can't think of one. But like, there wasn't this, terrible strategy blunders. And let's just keep that going. And I do have to credit Fred.
Obviously.
As always.
Yeah. Was Daniel there this weekend?
Daniel Ricciardo?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, then it was an old photo.
No. He's probably, today we're recording this on Sunday. He's going to the Bills game, I think, in Los Angeles.
So, again, I have a hard time trusting, like, I don't really get on Twitter often, but now it's like Threads because it's already connected. And I think someone posted like Daniel spotted in the paddock, and again, it's just like a headline. I didn't do any further fact checking or research.
Right.
But I figured we would have talked about that much earlier.
Oh, yeah.
That was true.
Yeah, no, he was not there. Also, I just have to say too, this Brad Pitt movie they've kind of, I don't want to say I'm like not looking forward to it, but they've like definitely overstayed their welcome in the Formula One paddock.
Why do you say that?
I'm just like I'm so overseeing them every race weekend, filming and being there and doing shit. I'm just like, it makes me annoyed. I'm just over it. I'm just like, how long has this freaking been? It's been like 2 years of you filming this freaking movie.
I mean, to be fair, there was a writer's strike.
There was a strike, but I'm looking forward to that being over because I'm
looking forward to going to the premiere.
I did see today there was a video of them after the race, like filming a podium celebration, and George and Charles were on the podium. So they got to be, in their acting era. Charles Leclerc, as we know, wants to be an actor, even though that might not be the best course for him. Yeah. But I'm glad he got to fulfill his dreams.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it's also really quick because on the movie, I think it's really weird that like in this Brad Pitt movie, it's going to be in the same timeline as the drivers that we know.
Right. That's
like
what
that
I'm
they're
saying.
not all
It's weird.
actors. Yeah, that's interesting.
Very weird.
I'll be curious to see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Should we get to qualifying?
Sure.
Okay. So, well, and I know we haven't really talked about the Checo. I think we can save the Checo conversation for the race because that can happen then. Okay, so qualifying. Obviously, I think the biggest thing was Lewis gets out in Q1. It was just like, are you freaking kidding me, bro?
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Well, and then when you see why.
Yeah.
Bummer.
So annoying. It's just annoying. And again, this goes back to what we were saying earlier about the slightly sour taste I have in my mouth for Lewis with his time at Merck. I haven't gotten to live the good moments, and so I'm just
ready for a fresh
looking
start.
forward for the future.
Yeah,
but that was frustrating, and that was just really annoying. And then Charles Leclerc losing his time and getting out in Q2, and then it guaranteeing that he was going to start from the back of the grid. It was just like, ugh, you guys, like. But we got Valtteri in Q3.
Yeah, we did.
And I was very happy for him.
I was so happy for him.
I was so happy for him.
Yeah.
Just like,
it didn't do much, but
at least he has that.
Yeah.
It's all we can ask for.
At least he has that.
At least he has that.
I really hope he comes back.
I know.
In some capacity.
I know. I think about his potential and where he could go. And I don't know that he has the, with like Daniel, for example, he has the what's the word I'm looking for?
The like marketability,
Yeah,
or
and,
just
like the fandom and just the stuff behind him that kind of like gives him that added extra push for a team to potentially pick him up again. I just don't know if Valtteri has that.
Yeah, I hear you. I just am bummed that we've also never gotten to see him in a good car.
And also given his age too, like it's not like he's 30. He is towards like the latter part of his career, so I could just see. But as we know too, especially with rookies, and there's going to be so many of them next season, that if a rookie is not doing well and struggling and they want to make a change, Valtteri is a great pair of hands.
True.
You know, and it sounds like he's going to potentially be the Merc reserve driver next year, so he'll be around. But it hasn't been the easiest season for him, to say the least.
I just would love to hear of, Valtteri, it's James.
Oh, I know.
Kind of vibes.
Well, then he needs to go to Williams.
Oh, right. I always forget that that's the James.
Nico Hülkenberg qualified P4. Then he unfortunately got a penalty, and then that brought him down to P7.
So
but
annoying.
for a moment, he was in P4, and that was pretty. He actually had pole for.
I know, that was so exciting.
I mean, I knew it wasn't going to last.
Same,
but it
would
was
been
still
fun.
nice.
And then I was reminiscing on that one time K-Mag got sprint pole, and everyone was so excited.
That was he got
it was
actual.
Oh
pole,
yeah, you're right.
But it was back when the sprint happened, and that's what determined the race order.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was a weird time.
Yeah, it was.
McLaren obviously gets pole position 1-2. Oscar, it looked like for a second, wasn't gonna keep his time. Same with Checo. Then they both got their lap times reinstated.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a nervy moment for them. But as I was rooting for Ferrari in the constructors title because of Charles Leclerc, but I also wasn't like upset that McLaren won. But I kind of felt like, okay, this basically is like the nail in the coffin, unless there is like a DNF or something.
Yeah. And I will say too, for Carlos, I know you don't necessarily have a dog in this fight, but like, it could be a long while before that boy's on a podium again. So I'm glad he got to end his time there on a podium.
Yes. Yeah. That's what my dad was like, he's like, I feel so sorry for Carlos. I'm like, I understand why people feel sorry for him, but I, again, coming from my biased perspective of like what it really feels like to,
of course,
it's hard for me to feel fully.
Yeah, you don't have space for all of these people.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
You only have space for Daniel Ricciardo, Lewis Hamilton, and Defying Gravity. Yeah, it's hard.
Well,
there's only so much room.
Space for Charles Leclerc, and I have space for Yuki Tsunoda.
Of course.
That's basically where
that's the pie chart.
That's the pie chart. Yeah, it's like big, huge, part of it. There's like very small slivers for other people.
Yeah, of course.
That's just
and it's a rotating sliver.
Yeah, and everyone else. If you're listening to this, you have the same. You have a pie chart too.
Yeah, we all have a pie chart.
We all have a pie chart. Okay, should we get to the race?
Yeah, because qualifying was kind of just whatever.
It was pretty standard, I would say. So obviously it starts, and
I do want to say Crofty started off by saying, "Let's Abu Dhabi do this."
Oh yeah. My dad did say, "Do you think if George wins, do you think he'd say Abu Dhabi do on the radio?"
He would have.
That didn't end up happening, but Oscar and Max.
Yeah.
Which did make things interesting. I do have to give Max some credit for creating a little bit of intense or a little bit more spice to the McLaren Ferrari battle with that.
Yeah.
Oscar, I was like, what's Oscar gonna say? What's he gonna say on this radio? And what does he say? I know you had the radio.
Yeah, I do. I had it. I wrote it down. Oh, yep. Move of a world champion. That one.
That was pretty. That's classic Oscar Piastri right there. God love him. Just snarky
but calm.
And I mean, it was. They definitely, and they said this on the broadcast. The stewards are a lot harsher with penalties now. They instead of the classic 5 seconds, they're going 10 seconds.
Although allegedly the drivers asked for that.
They did ask for that.
So
yeah, and I respect it.
Yeah.
I think it's a turn one incident. Maybe I'm less likely to say yes, it should be 10 seconds because it is a little bit more dodgy and more variables and whatnot. But I think it will clean up mistakes. I think people will be less likely to be reckless because they know it's 10 seconds rather than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Obviously, Max wasn't thrilled. He called the stewards stupid idiots or something like that.
Yeah, he said what did he say? They should have made it 20.
Yeah.
Okay, pipe down, Dad.
Pipe down. Yeah, I mean, Max, we know this about Max. And again, Hannah is her favorite driver, as we've said thousands of times.
Even though people don't think that's true.
I know, people don't think it's true.
It's crazy.
But he does struggle. It's a little bit, these things come out when he has to race people. These little moments come out. He's still an unbelievable driver. He's one of the best of all time, but he's an aggressive driver.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why he's a world champion.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it can sometimes come back to bite him in the butt. So
sure,
I'll be curious to see how that continues next season.
Because it will continue.
It will, because the Red Bull will not be the best car. At least I don't think initially, especially. So it's going to be he's going to have to fight other cars. Okay, should we get to the Checo conversation? Because Checo ends up DNFing.
Yes.
It sucks for him.
Such a bummer.
There was a lot of rumors, going into this week that this is going to be the last weekend of Checo at Red Bull. We've obviously heard,
first of all, if they don't stop asking him this question, please leave him alone.
Leave him alone.
Ask Christian, ask Helmet, ask someone else.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
He has said what he's going to say.
Yeah. He's
just
not going to all of a sudden be like, and even if it's not what you think, even if you feel like he's not telling you the truth, he's telling you what he needs to say in order for his, and for the contractual reasons of saying it,
just because you ask him 150 times doesn't mean he's going to be able to tell you that time.
Right. So there were some, more established rumors, and I shouldn't even say the more established reporting that this is going to be Checo's last race with Red Bull. They're looking to make a change. Now, obviously, nothing has been officially confirmed. They're supposed to meet this week to establish their decision with the board and everything. We'll find out for sure. But it sounds like Red Bull's plan is to move on from Checo. They're going to obviously negotiate some sort of parting. And how much money Checo will get and what that will look like obviously remains to be seen. I'm sure we'll find out if it ends up being true. And it sounds like Liam is going to be the guy to come in.
It does sound like that.
It's just, okay, let's just focus on the Checo part for a second. First of all, if this is his last race, it sucks that he got
totally
out. That would be devastating for him. And then obviously if you're a fan, terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. And it's just the whole way that this season has gone on for him, and it's been extremely rough.
Well, it's got to be mentally taxing.
Yeah. It's just got to be so draining and terrible, and I can't even imagine. And one can understand why Red Bull is looking to make a change, but also I wouldn't say that Red Bull has always done the absolute best they could do to fully support Checo. This is how it is. And again, as a Daniel fan back in 2022, I feel like we were in a very similar situation where you just kind of feel like this car has been catered towards one driver and this other driver can't figure it out. And it just feels like you're not getting the same, I don't know, care or something. I don't know. It's just, it can feel very frustrating. It can feel very demoralizing, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the decision, if it is true that the decision is to put Liam in the car, I think Red Bull's logic, because as we know, and as I sent you this message, Yuki has outqualified Liam in all the races this season. Liam has had a good performance the last handful or his time back, but it hasn't been amazing.
Yeah.
Now some of that's not obviously today, which we'll get to, was not his fault, but there's some radio stuff that's a little bit interesting. And again, we said this before, Red Bull seems perfectly fine excusing Liam's behavior on the radio, and I'm not saying Liam is saying anything terrible.
Sure,
but he's definitely a little bit more.
He's a lot more Max
aggressive
than Daniel, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah,
but
and I guess Yuki's more aggressive on the radio,
right? But
too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're fine to. They don't care if Liam does it, but if Yuki does it, then it's a problem. And it just makes me really bummed for Yuki. As a biased Yuki fan, I just really want him to get a chance. Just a shot.
Video when the woman was like, what do you think it would take for Red Bull to give you a shot? And he literally said, for me to drink a Red Bull and show that it can give me wings, which is so petty and wonderful.
So funny.
Because that's true.
Yeah.
Like pigs would have to fly. Yuki would have to get wings from a can of Red Bull.
He needs Elphaba to do the spell to
So true.
give him wings. But and I think Red Bull's reasoning for promoting Liam, or what they would say, and maybe by the time this comes out, there is an announcement, I'm not sure, is that, well, Liam has way less time in the car.
Sure.
And he's already matching or close to Yuki. So therefore, if he has more experience, he might then pass Yuki. Now that's fair.
Yeah.
But I also think we forget, and maybe Red Bull does too, which they shouldn't, about the past times in which they have quickly promoted a Red Bull Junior, and it has completely screwed them over, and their driver. It hasn't
that's
been
the one.
good for
That's
their
what I'm
driver.
really worried about.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Is this the best move for Liam Lawson to go into the Red Bull next year?
Look, here's where I'm at. If that is what the decision that's made, I hope it goes as well as it can. But I'm like so nervous for a repeat of Pierre and Alex.
Yeah. And it's just, and I feel like, why not give the guy who has had time in Formula One? Yes, he has, you could say, quote unquote, I don't want to say he has issues. He has things that maybe he needs to work on. But the good thing for Red Bull is they could have Yuki on the smallest leash possible, because they have Liam and whoever else in the V car to say, if you mess up, if you put a foot wrong, like, we will replace you with the next guy up.
Put you back on the junior team, or you're out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But why not at least give Yuki the chance to try it, and give Liam some more time to just like learn and grow and make mistakes, and not have the pressure of being in a Red Bull on his shoulders? I think maybe some people would say, well, Mercedes is going to have Kimi, so because they're willing to put a rookie in their car, Red Bull might feel more likely to put a rookie in their car.
Sure.
Oh, I guess, but it's different. Going up against George is very different than going up against Max.
Yeah.
Like, it just is.
Yeah. And the management is different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like the team itself is different. And I think for me, it's like, okay, it's not that I don't want Liam to be promoted. It's that I worry that, like, you know, he's finally living out his dream. He's finally here. I know he and Max have a good relationship, but also,
do they though?
well, I know he's
Or they're
just said that
fine.
he's like asked, you know, Max has helped him with, you know, stuff, whatever. But I worry that, like, as we've said 100 times, it takes a really specific personality to be a good number 2 for Max. And I just worry that, like, Liam, as he should, wants to get out there and prove himself, and like he's not only going to put a lot of pressure on himself, but he's going to have a lot of external pressure from the team. And it's just, you know, it worries me.
And even if they say to him, hey, you're going to be whatever it is, 3/10 behind Max, you're going to be, and it's totally fine. Even if they say that to him, don't worry about the gap. I can only imagine that that's still going to be in your head. Like, why is there this gap between me and Max? Even me doing my absolute best. And that, even if they're saying to you, it's okay, that still has to like mess with your brain.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Again, we don't know how it's going to turn out. Like, Liam could do great. Liam could be an excellent teammate for Max. That's entirely possible. But history has shown us that second Red Bull seat is not a great place to be.
Yeah.
And so is this the best place for a guy who hasn't even completed a full season in Formula One?
Yeah. So who's the conversation to come into?
So then Isaac Hadjar.
Oh, right.
Will come in, and he is also known for being a little bit hot-headed on the radio. And actually, Helmut came out.
Well, we like to
and
stay on
said,
brand.
you know, oh, that's just who he is. It's very interesting. Again, the excuses that he will make for certain drivers, and then the ones that it's where it's a problem. You know, do with that what you will.
Curious.
So anyway, I going back to the Checo part of it all, I just, again, if this is the end for him, it's again a terrible way to go out. It's tough for all involved. I don't think it's going to be the last of Checo. I mean, maybe he decides to retire because that's what he wants to do. But I think if he wants to get back in Formula One, he can get back in Formula One. I think the Cadillac thing is actually a very interesting prospect potentially for him, given his popularity in the Americas and everything. And it's a team like that's building. We know he's a very strong midfield driver. So I do feel like he will have another chance if he wants to have another chance. And honestly, he should have another chance because this is not the way that you want to finish your Formula One career. This sort of way that this season has gone has not been good.
No.
Again, we'll find out this week more information, I'm sure, and then we'll talk about it next week. Valtteri got a penalty though for his collision with Checo. So, and then Checo and then Valtteri ended up also DNFing. It was just like all these guys who it's their last race. Franco.
I know.
And Franco's radio at the beginning of the race being like, "Thank you guys so much for everything." I was just like, "Oh."
Sounded like he was crying.
I know, and it's just been the last whatever
it's like such a weird sport that's like you get your dream and it's only for half a season or whatever it was, a few races, and you just hope that like it will go somewhere else, but there's just like there's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go. And also just his season in general has been so weird because it was just like so high for 3 or 4 races, and then it's just been so bad for the last handful of races.
And a lot of it like to no fault of his own, which is even harder because it's just like I can't even show what I've got because my car keeps
crapping out on me.
Yeah.
Oscar got a penalty for his collision with Franco, which again was making things. I mean, Oscar definitely was making things interesting.
Yeah, he was.
This race. Yuki losing the clutch at the start. I did notice. I was like, why the hell did he lose so many places?
Yeah.
And then seeing a start, I was like, oh my God. He seemed very much like it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. Like really wanting people to know.
Yeah.
It was the car. It was the car.
Yeah.
Ugh. And again, that has to suck too for him because he knows in the back of his head, like, if I can pull out a really great performance, maybe it's just that constant.
I know.
I need him to. I still wish that he, at the beginning of this season, had somehow pushed harder to leave the Red Bull family. Even though Red Bull had the option on his contract and they took it, another team could have bought him out of that contract. And I just wish he would have tried, and he could have, and maybe other teams weren't interested, but he just needs to get out of the Red Bull umbrella because it's holding him back.
Yeah.
Charles Leclerc was just making moves.
Zoom in. I genuinely don't think I've ever seen Charles Leclerc race that way, or do that much in a race.
Because like very rarely starts from the back.
Well, I know, but if he is like far back at all, like I never see him make that much space or time up or whatever.
Yeah,
places. That's the word.
He was when his engineer was like, "You're in P8." He's like, "Woo!"
I know.
He was so happy.
I know.
He was great. He did a great job.
Yep. Driver of the day.
Lewis did a great job as well, fighting through the field.
Now I didn't see. Did George let Lewis pass, or did Lewis
like
genuinely
Lewis
pass him? Okay, I didn't.
Him. They had him on like the small screen while they were having to show Lando winning, which I understand, but also I'm like, there's literally like a race happening between these two drivers, but again, they have to show the winner.
Yeah.
Liam's wheel not going on, or the team not putting on his wheel.
Yikes.
That was bad. And then,
well, it was weird because the light went green
and he dropped down.
Yeah.
But you can, if you watched it back, they did not put it in.
Yeah. I can't tell. I think I've said this already, but like now that I know how heavy those wheel guns are, good on all of these people.
Yeah. And then having to come back around for the penalty and then getting a 10-second stop and go penalty because it was an unsafe release. He should have he couldn't have waited. The wheel was going to fall off. But like, that sucks.
Yeah.
That freaking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had Franco retiring, we had Valtteri retiring, which is just a bummer all around. You just hate to see it.
Yeah.
I was dying over Charles' radios being like, okay, what's the gap? How far away is Carlos from Lando? And then he's like 7.5 seconds. And
Damn.
Just like, or maybe I don't know what he said, but he was just like really trying to figure out.
I'm sure he didn't say damn.
In his brain, it was just like computing, calculating.
It's like
how
that
can we
one
make
meme
this?
of all
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because they did come so close. Lewis and George, obviously that battle was great. I was happy for Lewis. I wish he would have gotten a podium, but obviously to start where he started, I think he did a really great job. And then we had Lando Norris winning the race. McLaren.
Yeah, before that, though, what happened with Liam?
What do you mean?
His car stopped. He didn't finish.
Liam. Yes. I have no idea.
Okay, great.
I have no idea. We might know on the internet now, but yeah, it looked like he was just like overheating or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was worried that was going to bring out a safety car, and I was like, oh, please no safety car.
I know. Luckily, it was rolling into safety. So.
Yeah, he was like trying to get out of it. It was still moving. But yeah, McLaren Constructors Champions for the first time since 1998, which
Zach Brown's a happy man.
Zach Brown was so
Woo!
He was so jazzed.
It's just so funny, like the American celebration versus
the European.
Well, yeah.
I guess but yeah, very aggressive, you could say. Yeah, good for them. Good for McLaren. They deserve it. Obviously, they've had a great season. Frustrating for Ferrari. Charles Leclerc was kind of just off in the corner, kind of like, I can't really.
Just gotta let this settle.
Yeah, Carlos seemed a lot more like cordial, sort of had made his peace.
Sure.
Charles was a bit more, and that's probably because he's going to be with the team next year, and
yeah,
Carlos is not.
But it's too bad because he had a hell of a race.
Yeah.
So, I know it's not the result you wanted, but it's also like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And next year is going to be the year for Ferrari.
I don't know. Lando says next year is his year.
Or what are you going to in terms of team?
Oh, it's hard to say. Probably, but I don't know.
Wow.
Honestly, you know me. I won't know until it's happening.
Okay.
And then it's a feeling.
You are more favorable towards Lando and Oscar than you are towards Charles and Lewis.
Yeah, but there's something about the potential of like Lewis being in contention for his 8th championship that's also really exciting.
Yeah.
Seeing him in red is going to be so confusing the first couple times.
It's going to be so crazy. Lewis's radio afterwards, obviously very sweet.
Yeah, I teared up.
Bono.
Because Bono was crying.
Emotional. And Toto. End of an era. But the start of an age.
Yeah. Also, the Bono hot lap.
Oh, yeah.
No, like, he was so calm. I was like, wow, we are not the same, you and I.
You guys are not the same.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very interesting and going to be just different.
Mm-hmm.
Nico Rosberg doing the interviews. I was like, please give us the Nico Lewis interview.
Well, he wasn't even. Terry was going to interview
Terry,
Lewis. I'm very curious about that.
I know.
Has Terry done interviews before? I know he did in Vegas.
Think so.
But
or perhaps. I mean, he's been to a number of races. He definitely seems to be a big Formula One fan.
I know. I just wonder if something's brewing.
I feel like Terry Crews is way too famous and too successful as an actor to become a Sky Sports pundit. Full time, as his full-time job.
Sure.
Like, yeah, it could be a fun hobby every now and then, but
yeah.
I don't see him traveling around to all of these races. But yeah, Lewis was busy with his, and I get it too. Kind of like Lewis, again, as we said, he's just leaving Mercedes. He's not retiring, so it would feel, and maybe I don't know why he declined the interview, but it's a little bit like he doesn't necessarily need to do one.
Well, yeah, I'm actually glad he didn't, because with all the respect to those who have been with Lewis for his whole time in Merck or whatever, I just didn't really understand why he was going to be doing an interview when we're going to see him in February.
Yeah. And again, he'll get to do more
and
stuff,
let Mercedes own that. Like,
yes.
I guess that's my thing, is it's like, it doesn't need to be in my opinion, and maybe, I'm happy to be corrected and explained as to why I'm wrong, but it's like F1 doesn't need to take that on.
Right.
Mercedes has done a great job of the send-off.
Exactly. Anything else from the race Pierre had a good race.
Pierre's parents.
So
cute.
Yes. Loved that. Did you see the video of Pierre getting a card from Yuki?
Yeah.
Which is funny.
I always get so worried when they are battling each other.
I know.
Because I'm just like, no, guys, you're friends. Stay friends.
I know. I wanted some radios, though, of them being
because I'm sure, in a way, like, I know Yuki loves it.
Yeah, of course.
But I just worry, like, I would never want them to, like, get into an argument.
Of course not. Never.
Also, Yuki slayed.
Yeah, don't talk about the one thing, though, because that's going to be my fan.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, but... Okay, then that's...
I was just talking about his outfit.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very much coming into his own in all the ways, his fashion, everything. He's really owning the space. He's holding space.
Yeah. For muscle shirts. And I just am looking forward to his, even if it's at V-Carb next year, whatever.
I
think I figured out what your
brings the, fits and the energy and the vibes, because we are going to be losing Joe, obviously, who does bring those fits. There's only so many that actually try.
Yeah.
No offense to, those that don't try. It's totally fine. It's your prerogative, but it's fun when people try.
It's fun for us. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Let's get to the draft results, because so obviously, as you guys know, Hannah and I have done this random draft for the full season, and after calculating all the points. Now, if you come at me and you're like, you missed this 1.5 points, it doesn't actually matter, because the difference between
I also just want to let you know that if you know enough to know that she's missed a point, thank you for being here, because I have no idea.
The difference is like 30 points, give or take, so it won't actually matter. I have beaten Hannah.
Congratulations!
With 255 points, and Hannah has 224 points. Now, I really made up a lot, because you were ahead of me by about 20 points after Singapore. But
yeah, I drew some stinkers.
The USGP and the ones that you did get, like you got Lewis in Brazil, but he only got 1 point.
Yeah,
the whole weekend there. And
when I had Checo today.
You had Checo today. I had Pierre in Qatar, which he had a very good rate. Like some of the ones I got were strong. So
that's very exciting, because that doesn't happen very often.
I don't win much these days.
I'm so happy for you.
I don't really get very many W's in this sport. So
and it was fun because it was random chance.
It was random chance, exactly.
You're a lucky gal.
I'm so lucky. Yay! May my luck continue into 2025.
Amen.
Okay, let's do our fan info, and then we'll do our questions. Do you want to start your fan?
Yeah, my fan is Toto Wolff on Armchair Expert.
Yes.
It's the Experts on Experts, so it was a video episode, which was really fun.
Yep.
I think so. I had watched another long form interview with Toto talking a lot about the book and mental health, and it was really great. But the guy comes from like an kind of an entrepreneur businessy perspective, so we didn't get like a lot of just banter with Toto.
Yeah.
That was fun. Susie calls during it. Dax talks to Susie. That was fun. I will say I was a little bit disappointed because Toto brought up the fact that one of the biggest audiences that's growing in Formula One is women. I think he said 17 to 24.
I'm glad that you brought this up.
And if you've ever listened to Armchair Expert, I was really shocked she said this. Monica says, well, yeah, it's because all the drivers are so hot.
Yeah.
Now, I do not want to, move past the fact that obviously it certainly doesn't push people away.
Yeah, and if you only watch Formula One because the drivers are hot,
awesome.
Totally fine. You can watch for whatever reason. That is perfectly okay.
Yes, but I do think it's disappointing when women assume, because she's participated a little bit too, but like they know Daniel personally, like it's a little different. And I was a little disappointed by that.
Yeah, like we obviously,
and she did say like it doesn't hurt, like she clarified, and I'm not like trying to sit here and like throw her under the bus. A million people have said this. I just was kind of like, oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, we all don't wake up at god awful hours of the morning to watch them wearing helmets, drive around, and battle. Like there are many reasons why we watch Formula One. Again, if you only watch because you think the drivers are hot, that is 100% awesome, and you are allowed to. And don't let anyone say that you can't watch F1 just because they're hot. Totally allowed. But also, we are also multifaceted.
Yeah.
And maybe people watch just because they like the racing and they think all of them are ugly.
Yeah. Totally.
That's fine too.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it was a fantastic episode. And she did kind of go into the fact that like there's someone for everyone. I'm very tied to this, like it's this like generation's version of a boy band. It really is.
Yes.
Like there really is a personality for everybody.
Yes.
There's a lot of content to be a part of, and there's a consistent presence and way to go see them on tour and whatever.
Yes.
But anyway, it was great.
They also brought up the Toto talked about how he gets enchanté.
Yes.
And then I also a listener sent us this, but so I guess I didn't hear this episode, but in the Morgan Freeman episode, in the fact check, Dax had said something about talking about Daniel, or like
that he went the motocross,
but that he had like an update about Daniel's like.
Oh,
something.
I literally was listening to that part when I pulled up, so I'm in the middle of that story. So he didn't
finish the thought though, but then I guess someone commented on like the post on his Instagram post from the episode and was like, "What was the Daniel thing?" And he had just been like, "Oh, that he's like very happy, like he's very happy with his life." And I don't know if there was more to elaborate, but that was the general vibe, I suppose. So that's good.
Yeah.
My fan is that Yuki met his father again this weekend. Jason Statham showed up for Yuki once again. There were no tears from you.
No, because week. I was just I was elated. I cannot believe I cried about that.
So happy for Yuki that Jason came back to him. I hope there's a video of the encounter. And I'm sad for Yuki that he didn't get to, bring home points to his papa. But
ew.
He is.
I know.
Yuki even said, I saw a video that he was asked if he was American, what would his name be? He said Jason.
He is just so good.
Which is funny because Jason Statham is not American. But love that duo, obviously.
Yeah, but Jason's not a Japanese name.
Yeah, yeah. Jason can be a name for a white boy from the Midwest, And I just love that they're back together again. And I love that Jason, I mean, I don't think he views it as a bit. No. But I'm happy that he's participating. Participating and understands, we all want to meet our heroes and we all want to like have it be.
And I'm glad they met a second time because it means that it was okay that Yuki met his hero. Because sometimes it doesn't go so well.
And I think if I ever met Yuki, I would say like, this is like you meeting Jason Statham. And I think he would understand that. I think he would get it.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. Like I think that would, because I feel like sometimes when you meet a famous person, you kind of need to like tell them in their own for them to understand.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would really click for him, and he would understand that feeling. So,
also, it's not really a fan, but I meant to talk about this earlier. But the videos of the school kids doing the commentating and Lewis standing behind them.
Oh yeah,
love those videos.
Yeah,
I just love when that happens and they're just like, "Hi."
Yeah, love it. Okay, your foe.
I'm just gonna admit. Well, I put specifically that I'm gonna miss Laura Magnuson, but in general, it's just I think this is like, this sounds so dramatic, but like the biggest loss at one time of like the people that were here when we started.
Yeah, it's a huge loss.
It's a huge changeover, and I haven't been a part of one of these yet, and it's gonna be
because we had no changes last year.
Yeah.
And to lose Daniel, to lose Logan, Valtteri, Kevin, Joe, Franco, but that was short-lived, and then potentially Checo. That's so many drivers to lose in one season, and obviously we're excited for the new people to come in.
Yeah, but I feel overwhelmed about the education.
It's
I'm gonna
very
have to
overwhelming, and it's just gonna make it so interesting. Oh, can you? It's gonna make it so interesting. You're gonna have to click. There you go. So interesting just like how that all shakes out, because when you have so many new people on the grid, like there's just more chaos.
Yeah.
Because they're learning and they're developing, and so I think there's going to be a lot more safety cars next season and just chaos in general. My foe is that today both F1 and the Eras Tour are ending on the exact same day.
That's crazy.
And that is monumental in so many ways, because the Eras Tour obviously has been going on for quite some time, but that has just been a real, I think, staple in a lot of people's lives, and it's been fun to follow. Obviously, the origin of Taylor and Travis Kelce.
Right.
Wow,
what a year.
So much, more like almost, a year and a half at this point from when we went to see them and when he saw her for the first time. And just like, where does Taylor go from here? What does she do? And what do we do without Formula One in our lives for a few months? Now, obviously, we're going to be fine. There's lots to look forward to. But a break is hard no matter what.
Yeah, for sure.
And
the break in Formula One's easier to swallow because it's coming back very soon.
Very soon.
Taylor.
Very soon.
And the nice thing is that Taylor is in a relationship that is very public facing.
Yeah.
So,
she'll be at Chiefs games.
Still good to see bits. Maybe she'll be here for her birthday.
Yeah. Very, very true. I was just going to say something else about Taylor and Formula One, but now I can't remember. Okay, let's get to some of the questions.
All right.
Okay, what are you looking forward to most next season?
I'm excited to see how if it's as competitive as this year's been. I mean, I think it was very boring. Obviously it's great that Max was so good, but it's been nice to kind of not have a dynasty of any kind.
To
right
not
now.
know who's going to win every race weekend has been really nice. And we basically since whenever it's been, whatever his last race when I guess it was like Imola when kind of things started to shift for him, because Charles then won in Monaco, and I think Max then won a few after that. But then maybe it was Austria time. Like Max went many, many months without winning a race, and it was nice to go into an F1 weekend and be like, okay, it could be Charles Leclerc, it could be Lando Norris, could be Oscar, could be George, could be Lewis, and that's fun.
Yeah,
that's really fun.
We had a nice mix up.
I'm looking forward to that. Okay. We're gonna do our prediction, or we're gonna go over our predictions from earlier in the season next week. But if you had to predict who you think is gonna be World Driver Champion next year, who do you think it's going to be? Or maybe the two.
I do think that if things keep going, continue the way they were this year, I could see Lando and Max battling further into the season than they were.
I think it's going to be between Lando and Charles Leclerc.
That would be fun.
That
would be
prediction.
More interesting.
I think the Red Bull is going to struggle more than you. I think they're going to be kind of where they are right now at the beginning of next year at the very least. And so I think Max might struggle to get some wins in, whereas I feel like McLaren and Ferrari will trade off wins a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised. I think Max will be in the fight at least at some point in the season. But yeah, I'm thinking Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris. But
that would be really fun.
Yeah, that would be stressful as all hell. Okay,
but not the most stressful for you.
Not the most stressful, and you know what? Thank goodness for that. Max quote: "If it weren't for the baby Verstappen," we mentioned that about the Hunger Games thing. Do you think that Yuki's performance today will finally give him a Red Bull seat?
No, I do not.
No, unfortunately, I don't.
No, I would love to be wrong.
Now, maybe the
you think Jason Statham would have some impact on this?
Jason gets into character. He goes into
he
Christian.
He can be very intimidating. And he's at least an inch taller than Christian.
Goes into Christian Horner. I don't know. He's pretty small.
Yeah, he's very small.
Talked about. And just says, and kind of grabs him by the collar and is like, "If you don't
put my son in your seat."
Exactly. I think the only way that Yuki would get this seat at this point is that if Liam gets the seat going into next year and Liam underperforms, then Yuki could potentially fill in mid-season.
Yeah.
But at this point, he's just not in their plans. And it's unfortunate, again, as I said, as a biased Yuki fan, I hate it, but I just, yeah.
It just seems tough. Like if they were going to choose Yuki, they would have just done that already.
Right. Do you think the season is too long?
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think because I guess I like it. I think sometimes I wish that there were more consistent breaks. It's we have all these triple headers and then we have 3 weeks off.
Right. Well, this year particularly was a little bit strange, that month in between Singapore and Austin. That was weird. There's triple headers and then there's a big break and then there's more and there's not, and I get it. It's all based off of scheduling. I think next year maybe is a little bit better, spaced out and organized.
Yeah.
But
and to be fair, it's also hard because we are coming off a triple header, and when we do a little bit extra, and so it does sometimes feel like a long season and then a short break. But I also think about it from the perspective of the actual teams that are traveling. It is a lot of. Toto talks a little bit on the podcast about just the travel schedule. I mean, he spends 600 hours a year in an airplane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I could never.
Now, obviously, he's flying very, nicely.
Yes, of course.
And it's not he's not
He's
back
not
in coach.
Yeah, well, and he's not, shuttling through TSA. But, it's still really exhausting. And it's got to be weird on your nervous system.
Yes, I know. Yeah, it's obviously the drivers have the best experience of them all. They fly if they're flying private or they're flying first class, they're in nice hotels. It's more of a strain on all the teams and the people involved. I feel like 21, 22 races is probably like ideal. I think it might be like 1 or 2 races too long this season for me personally. I don't know what you would take out or cut. I mean, everyone has their own opinions on that, but you know, I definitely think no more than 24. I think this is like we are maxed out. That probably will change. I mean, probably in 5 years it's gonna be like 30 races.
That's crazy.
I don't know if that's true, but like they're gonna be, you know, it's all about that money. So whatever.
Yeah, I think that's I don't know that this is gonna withstand
it's not sustainable.
30 years. Like,
Yeah.
Well, just the volume at which it's happening right now. But what the hell do I know?
Yeah. Someone asked if we shed any tears this weekend.
I got a little like misty-eyed with some of the Lewis stuff, but
yeah, I actually wouldn't say I really shed that many tears. And again, I think we kind of covered this before, which is that we don't have the years of history with Mark that maybe would lead us to be emotional or so emotional about the weekend. Obviously, it's like an end of an era and it's sad in a lot of ways, but not enough to necessarily move me to total full-on tears. I did get emotional with the Lewis radio, Bono.
Yeah, that's really where I
was really when it was, because that's what's more for me more emotional. It's like the
relationships.
The relationships.
That's how I felt. Like it wasn't. I don't know, and it was like cool, like that video of Lewis kind of like seeing all of his cars and that, like that was cool. But yeah, it was more the like when I like got emotional a little bit at the end of the hot lap with Bono and Lewis, because it's just like, you know, they've been so close for so long and like so important in each other's lives.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, that's that on the 2024 race calendar, which is crazy. What a crazy season it's been. Truly. In Formula One. Like, emotional, it's been a fun roller coaster. I can't lie and say that I'm grateful that the season is over, because it has been so chaotic and for so many reasons. And
but the season's never really over,
right? And I'm looking forward for just a little bit of a break, and you know, next year is going to be great and I'm excited for it. So next week, as we mentioned, we're going to do our kind of recap of the season episode, go back over our predictions from back in January and look at what we got right, what we got wrong. And obviously I'm sure we'll talk about if there's news on the Red Bull front, we'll talk about that. And then we'll probably ask you guys for any sort of like season recap questions and whatnot. And then we'll be on a break it's actually perfect timing, because then you go out of town and you're gone for a couple weeks, and then we'll be back. Don't have an exact date confirmed, but it'll be late January. So it'll be like a little over a month break, which is good. We need a break, obviously. I'm sure you all need a break. We need to recharge, reset, and it's necessary for all involved. Anything else you want to talk about or share before we part ways?
No, I don't think so. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for going on this crazy F1 journey with all of us. It's been a lot of fun to think where we were at the beginning of the season, thinking it was just going to be a Max Verstappen sailing away.
I know. I'm excited to go back through our predictions.
Yeah, and see what we did. I think one of us predicted Lando P2 in the drivers' standings, and I remember at the time some people were like, "You guys are crazy," but who's crazy now? Who's crazy now? Okay, anything else? We're good. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
Enchante.